AI and AR and VR, right? I mean, that gets both the investors and I guess the entrepreneurs going, right? It's with for me, with every challenge and crisis, there's an opportunity.
Henry, welcome to Rising Giants. You are the founder and chairman of X Ventures Holding. We are very excited to have you on the show today, and also welcome to Pen on Pen. Know
Thank
you've
you.
been coming back and forth here for over the past year, so it's really great to have you in town and have you inside the RG studio today.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise, it's a pleasure to be here, and I guess I'm slowly falling in love with Phnom Penh,
Yeah.
and the rest of the Cambodia.
hmm Yeah, the city and the people and everything will definitely have that effect on you when you do come and visit. That's why I'm trying to get my friends in the U.S. to come over and have their first visit of Asia in Cambodia. But
For sure.
um, yeah, just to get started on things, it would be great to dive a little bit into your background or share a little bit about where you come from, what you've studied, what you've worked on early in your career, and yeah, just give the audience a baseline of who Henry is.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity again. So, as you mentioned, I'm the founder and chairman of X Venture Holdings, which is a venture capital firm that's headquartered and based out of Hong Kong. So, a little bit about myself. So, I was born in Myanmar, but I grew up in Singapore, finished my high school there, and then went on to study at the university in Toronto, in Canada. So I started my career actually as a junior investment banker in Canada at JP Morgan. And right after that, around about, I believe, 2010, 2011, I decided to come back to Southeast Asia and joined, some of the leading conglomerates in Myanmar and helped out with their investment and strategy related departments. I was head of investment for one of the big conglomerates in Myanmar. And after that, I decided that I wanted to go on the investing side and managing a fund and etc. And thereafter founded X Venture Holdings, which is essentially a venture capital firm with investment strategy and focus towards early stage growth companies and startups, primarily in Southeast Asia, and have been doing that for almost 2 years now, with our first fund having raised and already deployed pretty much of the entire committed capital into various startups, including a few of the ventures and startups here in Cambodia.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And it's really great to see that career trajectory,
Yeah.
especially, going and raising a first time fund for, with the background that you have as well. I'm wondering, was it just a natural progression to go from, investment banking into more focused investment roles that kind of like piqued your interest of getting into that space and eventually becoming an investor, or kind of what set you on that track of wanting to become one?
Right. I guess I mean, having the whole investment banking background and corporate finance, etc. That definitely helped build my technical side, skill set side of things. And I mean, that has always been my bread and butter. So I've always been interested in the entire value chain, so-called value chain, or the spectrum of investment and entrepreneurship. And I think for me, the sort of like the trigger point that really inspired and actually took me into to being an investor was when I was working at the conglomerate in Myanmar. I really saw that uh, that there are a lot of young founders who are very energetic, who have the passion with brilliant ideas to start or bring their ideas into market to really start a successful ventures, but don't really have the enabling environment, which included the access to capital. And I really wanted to. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be able to study abroad and grow up in Singapore, study in Canada, and have had the opportunity to really hone my skill sets globally in a way, and really have that exposure. And so with that, I really wanted to, in a way, help the next generation of young founders to help them realize their potential, including to be able to help start their own ventures, and thereby also helping other younger people, give them jobs, and give them access to employment, etc. And I guess that sort of realization point really helped me and pushed me to become an investor, and not just as a financial investor, but to be an impactful investor. I mean, of course, there's the capital and the money side of it, but I think investing goes way more than that, right? You are actually helping people turn their visions and dreams into reality, and to really expand and scale up their product offering or service offering. And also at the same time, you are employing or giving employment opportunity to other younger people, so that as a whole, you grow in value, and you grow in the meaning of building a business. And I guess we as investors play that small part in sort of enabling that, and really all that realization pushed me to really pursue this path of raising a fund, managing a fund, and really deploying that capital into meaningful ventures and making an impact across the board.
Yeah, the I think also being in an investment environment in emerging markets, whether that be like Cambodia or Myanmar, for example, you do have that aspect of impact that is almost always like underlying any investment that you make, whether it's actually impactful for creating, contributing to some sort of economic growth in what you invest in, or, if it's more true impact in terms of the specific sector that you're looking to work in or
Right.
looking to invest in and support. So it's great that, you're no matter what direction you're going in, you're going to always be contributing to some part of that economic growth within those economies, which is always exciting to think about.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and so in the late 2010s, that, like around 2017, 2018, 2019, that's kind of when you were seeing some of these, when you were coming to this realization, from my understanding. And I'm curious,
Yeah.
what was the startup environment or like in Myanmar during those years? What were some of the sectors or businesses that were flourishing that you saw?
Right. I mean, around those times, I believe we were sort of considered as, in a way, the last frontier markets in Asia, where um, we had a lot of the global attention, not just Asia, global attention on us, and with a lot of not just again Asian investors, but investors, potential investors from the West, from Europe, US. They were really looking and monitoring Myanmar's situation, and I believe during those years, it was really great. It was really great in the sense that the that there was, like I mentioned, that enabling environment for both the entrepreneurs, the side of things, as well as for the investors, where they were really enabling regulatory framework and support, as well as that openness to for investors to have that access to really coming to the country, assessing, talking directly with the entrepreneurs and founders, and not just first time founders, but also SMEs, small medium enterprises,
Hmm.
where we were really sort of given that opportunity to tell our story to the world, that there's potential. And I mean, we have a large number of young population, working population, and to sort of help these younger people, individuals, to really realize their potential again, like I mentioned. And I guess during that time, across all sectors there was potential, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's financial services, retail, F&B, technology. It was all there. There was a lot of interest, and we had a lot of I would say in and out activity. Maybe it might not be a concluded deal or an investment made, but there was a lot of due diligence being done, a lot of interactions between the investors and the local companies, both again on the both sell side and buy side, so to speak. So yeah, there was a lot of activity. It was really a great time, and a lot of open access for both sides to talk about investments and entrepreneurship, and really able to have that vision of, okay, I'm in Myanmar, but I can become an international venture. I can do a cross-border expansion into Southeast Asia, into across Asia, and ultimately globally. So yeah, it was really great.
Yeah, and what's really interesting too is that as you speak about it, you can definitely hear the passion and energy behind it.
Yeah,
And what's interesting too is on we kind of see the same thing in Cambodia of businesses that are wanting to expand cross border too, and so it's this so it's a really exciting time to be looking at opportunities within in this context within Cambodia too. Just having seen what it was like in the late 2010s in Myanmar.
right,
So that yeah, that's very exciting. You know, as you as we kind of talk about X Ventures, what was the process like for creating an investment fund for you, and what were some of the challenges that you faced during that process? I'm sure many people out there that are angels, or maybe you're thinking about wanting to pull some capital together to start a fund, may not, and especially in Southeast Asia, may not have the clearest idea of what steps it takes to do that or what
right,
challenges that they may face. So it'd be great to hear what your experience was like when putting it together.
right. I mean, the experience was definitely both fun, exciting, but at the same time, like you said, a lot of challenges, especially for a fund manager that's coming out of Myanmar and trying to, I guess, set up a regional fund, so to speak. And I mean, the process was standard in a way that, of course, you have to try to pull in, a group of LPs and pull in the funds together and set it up. I guess one of the key challenges that I face when speaking with potential LPs was the flow of funds, right? The transactional flow. Okay, if they're gonna put in, X amount of capital into the fund, and thereafter, uh, you know, deploy that capital into these startups and various entities, how that return, one day when they do make an exit, it's going to flow back to their designated source. So, of course, in Southeast Asia, as we all know, the regulatory landscape and complexity is quite challenging. So I think it's very important. I mean, as far as my experience was, it's very important to be able to have a good solid structure of where you're gonna have your fund domicile, where your administrative headquarters is going to be, so that you can really enable a smooth and effective and safe flow of transaction for your LP, and flow of funds for your LPs. That's one. And number two, I think was just to really do your research. What I learned was that research, as in, if you're going to have your fund, for example, set up in a certain country, to really know, for example, some of the basic matters like the banking setup, the bank account setup, the again, the work task related to ensuring that you're able to deploy the capital in a safe and effective manner for your LPs and getting that return back. So I think, of course, setting up a regional fund with focus on Southeast Asia, again, for some of the LPs, one of the key questions or inquiries that they have on their mind is whether investing in Southeast Asia versus, for example, investing in Europe or US, the challenges of regulatory uh, scrutiny or restrictions is always on their mind. So it's very important to research and also give your LPs a clear picture of your investment strategy, and also why certain countries will have certain sectors that will work better and that will give a more meaningful and profitable return as a whole for the fund and for the LPs. So I think, generally speaking, it's standard in a sense that as far as setting up a fund goes, but of course, because the regional focus and as a fund manager, if you're from Southeast Asia, the complexities that you are going to face are quite important, and for you to prepare ahead of time so that you can bring together effectively the pool of LPs.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. There is the standard aspect of how a normal fund should be pulled together.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, if you're pulling together capital from LPs, on the other side, there are a couple pieces that you mentioned about the nuances of things such as opening a bank account
Yep.
in the country in which um, that you are headquartered in. That was I personally on our side, that was something that uh, we we wish we would have known beforehand.
Yeah.
That there are certain challenges to that, especially where the team is located, because you do have to share that background information. And in places like Singapore, there may be a little bit more scrutiny around
Mm-hmm.
the location in which a majority of the team might stay, or just the kind of due diligence that these other banks or other mostly banks do in order for them to be able to accept you.
Right.
So it's really interesting process, and it's always a learning part, but it's always good to know that when you go through something like that, you can share that experience with others that are interested in doing the same.
Yep.
And so, to just kind of expand on that, could we dive a little bit into the current portfolio companies that XV has, and maybe share a little background about each?
Sure. So currently we have five portfolio companies under a fund. So two of them are in the technology sector. One in, it's coming out of Myanmar, called Rangoon Tech, and another one is a greenfield setup, which is an extended branch of Rangoon Tech, called Mekongverse in Cambodia, and they're both AR, VR, the augmented reality, virtual reality, AR, VR solution provider. So these two companies, they provide these digital AR, VR marketing solutions to agencies and other corporate and businesses to, in a way, enhance their marketing campaigns and provide that AR, VR experience for the end customers. And really, I think with these two companies, for me as a VC fund manager, it's quite exciting just because they're in the tech space, which I believe have a lot of potential going for. Of course, as we all know nowadays, the buzzwords is AI and AR and VR, right? I mean that gets both the investors and I guess the entrepreneurs going, right? It's really sort of like the trend these days. So I mean, with technology, as we all know, it's very I guess relatively easy and effective to scale, which scale and grow, which is one of the key components that we as investors look for. So those two have been a great investment so far. Third one is in the entertainment industry, called Vikings Entertainment. So this startup, we have two verticals under it. One is the telemanagement aspect of it, which is managing different artists that are with the organization, and the other one is, of course, promoting and organizing various events and concerts and festivals. So that's Vikings Entertainment under the entertainment sector. The fourth one is, of course, Jalad Logistics, which is in the logistics space, and it's a Cambodia based company. And so far also it's been very excited to work with the founders from the team, and they've been outperforming the targets that we have set and set our sights on. And again, it's also one of the spaces that we feel will be able to grow potentially regionally, and to have that scale and growth behind them. And the last one is another Myanmar. It's a greenfield setup, Myanmar Incorporated, a learning and incubation education platform called XVH Learning Hub. Actually, it was personally set up by me as a way to help Myanmar, entrepreneurs and professionals with equipping them with relevant skill sets for them to really become, from local Myanmar startups to, again, regional powerhouses and international ventures, as well as for professionals to be able to, know extensively on the knowledge relating to entrepreneurship, investments, fundraising, etc. So yeah, so those five are really, I believe, diversified, and we're really happy with what they've done so far, and our investments in them.
Talk us through maybe like what is it like doing startup investing in Myanmar versus Cambodia? What would you say are some of the differences that you've observed?
Right. Well, I guess, well, out of the main key difference is the regulatory, environment. Of course, different country, different regulations, different challenges, and as basic as setting up and incorporating the company with certain requirements that Myanmar regulations have versus Cambodia regulations are. There's a big difference in terms of the timing that we need to undergo, and the documentations required, etc. And I think additionally, there are also major differences in terms of, I guess, interacting with the founders, because, for example, for the Myanmar founders, I would say, because of the kind of environment that the Myanmar founders are in, with, in a way, limited access to the investment related knowledge or investment related financial related skill sets. Sometimes the conversation is a bit different, as in you need to the kind of topics, for example, we focus when we speak with Cambodian founders, perhaps may rely more on the technical side of things, to really ask them and inquire on some of the key financial figures, their projections, their key strategy for growth, etc. Whereas for some of the Myanmar founders, we have to sort of, in a way, take it down to the basic level and understand perhaps more about them and the purpose behind setting up the venture, and how the funds that are going to be injected by us are going to be utilized, etc. So I think the end result that we are trying to get through these questions is the same, but the way we interact and sort of like the mode of communication and the way of communicating is different, because again, it's two different countries, founders from two different environments, and the way they have gone through to set up these ventures are very different. So yeah, I guess there are some differences, challenges, but of course with that also comes the excitement, right, for us as investors to help these founders realize their potential.
Hmm. Okay. And what would you say are some green and red flags that you have kind of identified in your early meetings that you have, that have kind of given you that the idea for what the future is going to look like of that company?
Well, I guess for me, when investing, actually the most important for me is, the kind of environment that the Myanmar founders are in, with, in a way, limited access to the financial related knowledge or investment related skill sets. Sometimes the conversation is a bit different, as in the conversation is the founding team. I guess the financials and the performance, etc. They're of course important, but for me, the the resilience, the grit, and the commitment, and more importantly, their purpose of why they have set up this venture is very key. If let's say I'm speaking with the founders, and if I don't feel that uh, their purpose and vision is not that clear on why they have set this venture up and why they want this to grow, etc., then it's a red flag for me. If versus if the founders are very passionate and they have a clear vision and purpose behind their setup of the company, then that's already in a way, reassuring me that they're committed to this, and it's not just for, the for the money or for the okay, one day I'm gonna create X valued company and I'm gonna be this and that, but it's more so to again to have that impact, like I mentioned earlier. Even as an entrepreneur, if you're setting up a venture or a business, there should be an impact at the end, whether it's for your customers, whether it's for the society, or whether it's for the environment, or whether it's for the country, right? So I think for me, I really look at who the founders are and what their purpose is behind setting up the company, and how they're actually going to, help themselves realize this through, I guess, our support and our funding, etc.
And how do you sort of see the overlap between Cambodia and Myanmar? Do you see like more startups that are based out of Yangon looking to expand and into Cambodia, and vice versa, Cambodian startups going to Myanmar?
Yeah, I mean, because we're all Southeast Asian countries, and we share very similar, I guess, culture, and it's predominantly Buddhist countries, which means it translates towards similar customer behavior, right? So I think it makes it, I guess, relatively easier for, let's say, whether you're a Myanmar startup or a Cambodian startup to expand out into the nearby neighboring countries. So I think, for example, currently, these days, I've been seeing a lot of Myanmar SMEs and startups trying to venture into nearby countries, including Cambodia, Thailand, etc. Of course, one reason may be that they're trying to diversify and spread the risk, especially as with any other country in Southeast Asia, the challenges of geopolitical challenges and difficulties will sometimes make these founders and companies think that, okay, I have to spread my risk and really venture out into nearby countries to, of course, tap into the market potential in these countries as well, but also at the same time to really hedge any potential risk that they may have. So I think, and it also goes vice versa, right? For the Cambodian companies to look into other countries like Myanmar or Singapore to really expand their business, to diversify their risk, and also at the same time potentially tap into, if they're able to expand out into the larger Southeast Asia market. That's what a total of 700 million potential market, the entire Southeast Asia. So because of the similarity in the culture and the customer behavior, I think it's also relatively easier, given, of course, solid foundation and the right support provided to them. I think it's very exciting opportunity for any of the ventures in Southeast Asia.
And what would you say? I mean, you say you're mostly based out of Hong Kong, and you travel a lot in the region. When you're talking to these potential LPs and investors, what is their current perception of investing in Myanmar and Cambodia? Because I presume for you, you're having to make the case for why most of these investors probably have a slightly outdated perception of both of those
Right.
countries, and you're trying to convince them of the long-term potential.
Right. I mean, again, the key word there is the long-term potential, right?
Yeah.
I guess despite, the geopolitical challenges that's going on, whether it's in Myanmar or Cambodia or wherever, right, in Southeast Asia, I guess for me, with every challenge and crisis, there's an opportunity. I think it makes it, it 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 makes even more of a sense to look at investing in these kind of our market, because there's a much larger gap for the growth to happen. Because if you're trying to grow to, let's say, number 10, right, and then you're starting off at number 8, there's only room for 2. But if you want to reach to 10, but your starting benchmark is at 5, there's obviously room for growth to of five steps. So I think, with that being said, of course, you really have to do a lot of research, and be cautious of, and be prepared for the challenges, and have contingency plans. But again, I think, for example, for a market like Myanmar, uh, I encourage a lot of the investors to look at the long term potential. I mean, of course, there will be, whenever there's a downturn, there's going to be an upturn, soon. So I think when that upturn comes, you want to be at the forefront already, and you wanna be at the front row to be able to take full advantage of the opportunity, and also provide that meaningful support. Because uh, you know for example, Myanmar or Cambodia, uh, having gone through certain challenges and difficulties, will need that support even more so. And again, as an impact, as an investor that's trying to create an impact for myself, that's also very important.
Mm. Yeah, I think, like, following up on that, um, from like Satori Giant's side, w we mostly focus on the pre-seed,
Mhm.
defined as like a business having only generated 200,000 in revenue, or up to 200,000.
Right,
And we were looking at some data for Q2 this year the other day, and we noticed that, yeah, I mean, Southeast Asia, the average pre-seed is 3.7 million,
right,
and in the US it's 6 million. But of course, that average is in Southeast Asia is skewed to like Singapore. And even when we look at um, potential investment opportunities in Thailand, we notice that, like, even when a startup is just beginning and they've, let's say, not even generated even 100K, um, you're seeing safe notes that are at like
right,
5 million.
right,
And for us, we're like, the risk reward on that doesn't seem um, as as having as much potential as, like, looking at, let's say, a pre-seed deal in Cambodia and Myanmar
mm,
that would be like no more than 1 million
right,
normally. So I think a lot of people, when you communicate that, they kind of realize that, yeah, I mean, Cambodia and Myanmar have a heavy discount in terms of
right.
valuations. What do you kind of see on average, the average valuation that you're looking at for a pre-seed investment opportunity?
Well, I guess, I mean, it depends on the market, right? Firstly, but if you're, let's say, focusing on a market like Myanmar and Cambodia, I would say pre-seed, around 1 million, 1 million, 2 million, I think makes sense. Of course, subject to the due diligence that we would do, and of course, all the assessments behind it. I think, for us at XV also, I think we share similar investment strategy as Satori Giants, where we look at pre-seed, perhaps ticket sizes ranging from 100, 200, 300K for 1 million, 2 million valuation. I think that makes sense, and that's also in a way is a great opportunity, because we're entering the game at a very early stage, which enable us to really work together with these founders, and give them the support and influence to make the right decisions, and to help them expand and do fundraising in the next round and subsequent rounds, etc., which will ultimately help all of the stakeholders involved, including us as investors.
Mm. And another point that you just mentioned there about the ticket sizes, do you also work with a lot of co-investors? And is that important to you, that when you're looking at an investment opportunity, you always have like a co-investor coming in with you?
Yes, most of the time I work with co-investors,
Mm.
just because, I mean, two heads are better than one, right? And uh, in a way, having another investor alongside myself, I believe will also immensely help the founders, the startups, because we can offer different expertise, different opinions, different advisors, and also for me as an investor, in a way the risk is shared, and because the risk is shared and we're investing, we both have skin in the game, and that will also ultimately motivate both of us to really make this work, and then in turn that will help drive the success of the startup, and of course ultimately help out all the stakeholders involved.
And maybe looking out into the future a bit, what would you say your vision is for XV over the next few years? How many sort of deals do you want to complete, and do you have plans to also expand in other countries?
Yeah, definitely. So we have, as I mentioned, deployed the committed capital from Fund One. So we're now in the process of raising Fund Two, with potentially slightly larger to make investments with slightly larger ticket sizes, and also with that in parallel, we're already building a pipeline of potential companies that we will be and can invest, and I think out of Fund Two we're looking at another 9 to 10 investments, with focus still in the Asia region. I guess for the Fund Two we might slightly move and look slightly more outwards of Southeast Asia as well. So potentially looking at some of the East Asia region as well.
And if you weren't doing what you're doing today as an investor, what do you feel like would be your career in another life? What else do you feel like you would be doing on?
You made another Henry in a multiverse, right?
Yeah, another Henry, another multiverse. What do you feel like are some of the other passions that you think you'd pursue?
um, that's a very good question. Actually, I haven't really thought about, but I guess apart from this whole business slash investment related, I guess work or job, right? I'm very passionate in traveling, so I guess perhaps in another universe, if I have the chance to, I would like, or I believe I'll be pursuing a travel blogging hobby or passion, and I think that also this passion of mine, for traveling also stems in my pursuit of trying to invest in various startups across the region, because with as with traveling, it's about meeting new people, talking to founders or individuals with very different background in both education, upbringing, culturally, etc. So I think in principle, when I travel, let's say I get to meet different people, I get to visit different places, and I learn the history, and I learn about their story, and in a way, at that moment, I am in their story, as part of their story, in that space, in that country or city. In a way, with investing, it's the same thing, right? Like the founders, okay, is their story. They have gone through, let's say, from chapter 0 to chapter 5. Now, do I want to be a part of their story from chapter 6 onwards, perhaps until conclusion, until the end? And I think, principally, that sort of excitement and adventure that I seek in both traveling and investing share that similar sort of feeling. So I guess, yeah, if I'm not investing, I'd like to be traveling around, meeting new people, experiencing new things, and of course also learning new experiences and things as I travel. So yeah.
Well, if it's any consolation, I would give you a follow, Henry, on your
Thank
on
you.
your
Thank you. Like and
on your
subscribe, right?
yeah, like and subscribe. Yeah, sometimes Max and I talk about this, and kind of if you look back on your previous years, some of like the most exciting things are to think about is maybe that one accomplishment or one experience that you had that kind of defines your year. And I'm wondering if so far in 2024, have you had any defining moments that you feel like you'll be able to look back on, in later years and say, in 2024, I did this, and I can, and that stands out and you can remember it.
Right. I think definitely the accomplishment of successfully raising the fund for XV and actually being able to deploy the committed capital into five different and five very different and varying sectors and startups. It's probably the biggest accomplishment that I can say, because saying that, okay, I'm gonna raise a fund and I'm gonna pull in capital and build a pipeline of portfolio companies, and then doing it is very different. I mean, it's a journey. I'm sure as you guys know, from talking to the founders and again really listening to their story, and putting the money and the capital in is one thing, but the work actually starts after you've deploy the capital. I mean, you really it's like you really have to dive deep and build a professional relationship with the founders, with the company, with the city that you've invested in, the venture set up in, and that you've invested in. So I think having successfully done that and to be able to still support, provide meaningful support and insights and advice to these founders is very worthwhile for me, and probably my biggest achievement so far. And hopefully I can repeat that with my fund too, and hopefully invest into even more companies across larger geographical reach.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, and it goes back to what you were saying at the beginning of the podcast, where it's you're also mentioning not only the capital support that you provide, but also that some of that hands-on support, whether that's supporting through different business activities or mentorship, and ultimately what you're doing is growing that business to be able to provide and be a better value to the economies that they're in. So I think that's a really good defining moment for 2024, and hopefully we'll have 2025 be your blog about traveling,
For sure.
be the next defining
Yeah.
one. So,
Actually, yeah, maybe I might actually, start a travel channel and actually pressure all my portfolio company founders to follow and give me a like. Maybe that's my next target.
yeah, each one of them can offer a 50% discount on their product.
Yes.
If you follow Henry.
Yes.
Is-
And various sponsorships, including you guys, Satori Giants,
Yeah. That's right. We'll be your biggest backer, so don't worry. Our traditional closing question that we like to ask each of our guests is, what's the greatest piece of advice that you've ever been given?
The greatest piece of advice is to always have an open mind with anything and everything, because if you, whether you're talking to a big CEO of a company, or whether you're talking to let's say a factory worker, everyone and each of them, anyone have their a quality advice or quality sort of thought that may help trigger some of the inspirations that you could potentially have and you can go on and pursue. And I think being open-minded to everything, and to really listen to the world, to the individuals that you're talking to, the founders, to your partners, is very important in, I think, being successful, right? Of course, success is very subjective. It's different for different people. But for me, if you want to really live life to the full and to be successful and to be making an impact in society, in business, in for your family, in life, I think it's very important to be open-minded and to be able to accept for different individuals for who they are, and listen and to take in whatever you can from whoever that you're talking to, because everyone's have gone through different experiences, and some people may know things that we don't. and we know things that some people don't. So it's always important, and I think my advice is to listen openly and have an open mind to do in doing anything and everything that you pursue. So, and that's what I've been doing and applying and practicing with my life, including business and in personal matters. So
Great. And we have one guest question from your friend Riz.
oh no.
He says, if you could teach a dog to do one human thing, what would it be?
To what? If you can, sorry.
If you could teach a dog
Uh-huh.
to do one human thing, what would it be?
A dog. That's a very that's a very interesting question. I would say if I can teach a dog to do any human thing, right?
Mm-mm.
Well, I guess to be able to go out for drinks with friends, their dog friends, and have a good time, I guess, and generate I guess, exciting and fun conversations in a human way, if that makes sense.
Go to the dog pub.
Yes,
Dog
dog
pub.
pub. Actually, that could be a good business idea.
Yeah. Well, Henry, it's been great having you on Rising Giants, and we're really excited for the success of X Ventures and hope to be able to collaborate more in the future. So, yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. And yeah, look forward to working with you guys more. Thank you.
Thank you.